All right. Uh, okay. What was yesterday? Yesterday was a special day. Good. That is a good one. What Paurnami? That is also good. That is an intelligent answer. What about it? What is Adi Paurnami called? It's called Guru Purnima or Guru Paurnami. It's okay. And it is called Vyasa Puja Day. It is a day that commences the Chaturmasya, that is the vratam that sannyasis take not to move around. It's called the rainy season. Sannyasis don't move around. As a part of their dharma, they keep traveling. Parivrajaka they are called. There is an English word called peripatetic, which means keeping on moving around. Comes from parivrajaka. Right? But for certain months in a year, they are not supposed to travel. That is because if they walk around at that time, they will be stepping on insects and worms and such other things which will be on the forest path and regular path. So they stay in one place at that time. That is the Chaturmasya Vratam. There is a way out of that. They do it for 2 months. Although originally it was 4 months, they do it for 2 months. That starts on Vyasa Puja Day. So on Vyasa Puja Day, that is yesterday, every sannyasi in India would have first done Guru Puja, which means the entire Guru Parampara of his, they would have elaborate worship would have been offered. Alright? And then they start the. So in our context, it is important because we are all here because of Vyasa who wrote the Bharatam. So we start with our regular first slokam of Bharatam. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So we start with victory, Jayam. So blessed we are, having been born in the land of Bharat, which is been named because of a king called Bharata, whose Vamsha it is, whose story is what we are now hearing called Mahabharata. Bhishma and others have been born in the Vamsha of Bharata, after whom our whole country has been named as Bharat. And talking of gurus, and talking of Guru Purnima and Guru Puja and Acharya's Chaturmasyam Vratam Vyasa Puja, we come to the Guru in Bharatam, the context that we were last time, which is, what is the name of the Guru? Drona. Now Drona is teaching the Pandavas and the Kauravas the ways with weapons. Right? Can you imagine young children being taught the ways with weapons and horses and such other things instead of having to deal with history and geography and mathematics and absolutely great fun. Swimming and wrestling and who can raise dust more. They would have, but in its own place, not carrying mountaineering bag to school. Be that as it may. Here was Drona and he was teaching these children the best of weapons. And he had a son, right? What was the name of Drona's son? Why was he named Ashwatthama? Yes, I'm pleased. Mogambo Khushwa. Alright. So the Ashwatthama, naturally, there was a little bit soft corner more for Ashwatthama for anybody else. So what he used to do, and he used to have a classes somewhere in between or before, he used to give everybody one kamandalu. You know what a kamandalu is? A small pot, small vessel with a narrow opening, Shambh, like Kamandalu, and asked him to go bring water from the river. And to Ashwatthama alone, he used to give a container with a big neck, like a pane, a big one. So he used to quickly fill up the water, whereas others used to take a little bit time. In between the time Ashwatthama came back first and the others came back, he used to teach him something new, which was not taught to the others.
Partiality.
Yeah, which is a fair thing to have. Otherwise, why have human nature at all? Human nature is by nature partial. He was partial. Maybe partial to a son, he may be partial to a disciple, he was partial to somebody or the other. A little bit partial. But Arjuna, he noted this, that this fellow is going slightly earlier. And you see, a student, by his sincerity, can change the syllabus of the teacher. The students also matters. The syllabus is not dictated entirely by the teacher. Right? A teacher alone does not dictate the syllabus. A student of a higher caliber will be able to influence the teacher's teaching. Isn't it? If a student quickly learns something and you thought you will take 6 months to reach that step in dancing, if by the first month the student is proficient, then you will say, okay, for this student we will have to go to the next. So Arjuna, what he does, he quickly notes that this Ashwatthama, son of a gun, is going slightly earlier. And Arjuna is not Arjuna, because he notes all this. So he knows this Varunastram, which is water astra. So by chanting the Varunastram, he fills his pot in same speed as Ashwatthama, and he'll quickly run with him. So he is there with Ashwatthama. Drona appreciates this. Drona also creates these opportunities, let us put it that way. If there is no peer pressure, why will you want to be better? You find that somebody else is better than you, you want to beat that person. So you find Ashwatthama going earlier, no, I should go at the same time. Otherwise he would have come at the same time as the others. So Drona is quite pleased with Arjuna, saying, yeah, now that's something, now that is good. Now, once this Drona has also instructed the people that Arjuna, please ensure that Arjuna is served dinner before sunset. For what reason we don't know, but this he has said, this announcement he has made, and that is being followed. But that cannot always be possible. There have been many times that he had to eat after sunset. There would be a light, lantern, whatever was. One day what happens, there's a heavy wind and all lights go off, katak, blow out, and this fellow is having a big plate of food in front of him, leaf or whatever, and there's no light. The food is to his liking, he knows the potatoes is this side. By the way, did you know almost 80% of the vegetables that we eat today, whether it is potatoes, cauliflower, are all of the last 200 years origin in India. They were not there earlier. Okay, we will leave that, otherwise whole day we'll talk about food. But coming back. It's a good one. Food is our most important heritage. Yeah, so the food was there on his plate. It was pitch dark. But Arjuna continued eating. He knew exactly what was where. And he ate, and then he thought, oh my God, I can't see a damn thing, but I am able to figure out what is where and eat. So this triggered off a thought in his mind. That night he went to bed at about 10:30 in the night after food, and then he got up at about 12 in the night and said, let me then practice archery in the dark. So he took his bow and arrow and he had a target bang in the dark somewhere, and he started firing arrows at it. This Drona got up at 12 in the night. What is this noise coming from? Where is it coming? And all that. And he went and he saw this Arjun Fellow is practicing in the night. Drona is overjoyed. He's absolutely thrilled that this boy is. He hugs him and he embraces him and he says, Arjun, now I'm sure I will make you the best archer in the whole wide world. I tell you the truth. Okay. What is he doing? I mean, he is setting a bar for himself higher and higher and higher. Arjun is raising his own standards. Okay. It hasn't struck anybody else. But now when night vision, you have this Afghanistan bombing by the Americans, night vision flights. That's what he was trying, night vision, so to say, how to figure out and shoot. By Anumana, knowing where it is. Mental strength. You memorize the thing. In traditional shlokam competitions, etc., in schools, even now they are there. When you memorize a big shlokam, they'll tell you one word from in between and you have to start from there. Isn't it? Purna has also done it. You got to start. Aditya Hridayam, if you know it by heart, then they'll tell you somewhere in between. Rama Rama Mahabahu. From there you have to start. How do you do that unless you know it? You know it. Absolutely you know it. Isn't it? 2 ones are 2, 2 to the 4, 2 8s are another, 2 ones are none. I cannot do it. Okay. But by and by you pick up that. Like I had a classmate in school, he was famous that we used to say that if you hit him, tap him in the head, all knowledge will start coming out of his mouth. He used to know it fully. Okay. What does it mean? You know it upside down. So, you see now, calculation. I had a professor in my college who used to know that, I don't even know whether you people know that such a thing like log tables existed. There was a concept called log tables. Okay, which used to be required for doing calculations. Okay, if you have to do complicated calculations, the log table is such an animal called a slide rule, which is now disappeared, which is fairly a nice thing to use for calculation. Okay. Now, this log tables, there was a professor in my college who used to know it by heart. Good. Log 322, 2.14168, something he'll say, whatever. Now, it is impossible for a person to do 13 times 14 without needing a calculator. Isn't it? So, why? Because they never practiced. Okay. Multiplying a 5-digit number by a 5-digit number was not considered very difficult mentally earlier. I can't do it, but one generation back it was not considered all that difficulty. I know a few people who can do it even now. So here was this man practicing night, and Drona was very, very happy with him, and he said, I'll make you the best archer in the world, my friend, my son, or whatever. And then decided, this is a story which is known to every single Indian, but is therefore worth repeating. He decided to keep a test for all the kids. He made a hawk, a Kalg doll, and kept it high on a tree and called all the students and said, listen, wait for my instructions. One by one I am going to ask you to aim and cut the neck of the bird in the tree. Okay? They said, yes. Listen carefully, he says. Okay. He calls Yudhishthira first. Says, okay, Yudhishthira, aim. He aims. After that, for a long time, almost I think an hour or more than an hour, he doesn't say anything. That fellow is just aiming. He's waiting for further instructions. Attention. Alright? And then he says, alright, can you see the bird? He said, yes sir, I am seeing. And that's in the tree, and near the tree All of them are standing. He says, "Can you see me?" "Yes, sir." "Can you see the field?" "Yes, sir." "Can you see the tree?" "Yes, sir." Next patient. October Masam compartment exam, you can come and attempt. Alright? Then he calls the others. Duryodhana, they can also see all that Yudhishthira saw, and some of them can see more. I can see the next field also. Then he calls Arjun. Same, Arjun aims. With Arjun he waits 2 hours. Arjun staring, waiting. Attention. And then he says, and Arjun's bow for those 2 hours is bent almost to a semicircle. He's pulled it. And he's waiting, and suddenly he asks him, same questions. "Can you see the bird?" He says, "Yes." "Can you see me?" "No, I can't see you, I can only see the bird." "Can you describe the bird to me?" "I can't. I can only see the bird's head." "In fact, I can only see its neck." "Shoot." He shoots, it cuts neck and falls down. Drona in great happiness goes and embraces Arjuna. This is a very graphic story which is known to every child in India. But it's worth repeating because it teaches you attention, focus, okay, and resoluteness when you are attempting a task. 5 minutes you can't wait nowadays, no? It's very difficult to aim and wait for 1 hour. Who will wait? Right? Who is going to? But the thing is, if you are in a situation where like for example, in a war situation, you wait. Kargil Heights, you bloody wait. You don't even know when that fellow is going to pop up from where. You aiming and you waiting. And you can't afford to slip that 5 minutes that you want to look elsewhere to this magazine or whatever, that fellow may come. Right? This is all these things of focus, resoluteness and skill is taught by this story. So this is a very famous story of Bharatam. And then later, once it so happened that Drona was taking a bath along with the disciples of that, Drona was taking a bath in the river, and a crocodile came and caught hold of Drona's clothes and was dragging him in. And Drona decided this is another occasion, and he acted as if he was in deep danger, and he shouted, "Hey, save me," and all that stuff. Drona doesn't get, crocodiles are not much problem for him. Okay. It's not a big deal. He wanted to see how these kids will react now. So he said, save me, and all that stuff. Kill the crocodile, save me. Now everybody is standing frozen. Everybody, all are standing frozen except Arjun, who quickly takes his bow, fatak, in 5 arrows, he cuts that crocodile to pieces. Presence of mind. Exactly what Ambika just now said. He was testing the presence of mind, and Drona is very pleased. He said, "Oh Prince Arjun, I shall now teach you a terrific weapon. And you alone, this weapon, called Brahmashira. It is greater than all weapons, and it is extremely difficult to use. And I teach it to you under one condition. You shall never ever use it against a human being. This weapon is of such strength that if you use it against a human being, it will of course destroy the human being, but along with it, it will destroy a whole huge part of the world. It is a terrific weapon." Sorry? Brahmashira. Don't ever use it against a human being, but in a battle situation, if a non-human should ever in a battle come and put you under terrible distress, then use it. Alright, this he teaches him and he gives him that weapon. Okay, and blesses him that my Arjun, no one in the world will be as great a warrior as you. This blessing he gives. Then all these, the Kauravas and the Pandavas and all have now reached +2 and all that. They have finished basic good proficiency in weapons. And therefore, Drona decides, why not do Arangetram? Right? You have got to display. Now, a teacher has taught. The students have to show what they have learned. It's a proud occasion. And so he goes to Dhritarashtra and Bhishma and others. Drona goes and says, time has come for your children to demonstrate their skills in wielding weapons. He says, O king, your sons have all become proficient in the knowledge of weapons, and if you consent, we can have a demonstration. Dhritarashtra is overjoyed to hear this. It's like music to his ears. He says, O great teacher, you have finished a great work. A great task has been finished by you. Teaching these princes, tell me your command. How shall this demonstration be done? Whatever you wish, whatever you want, shall be yours. But today, I also feel extremely sad. Can anyone guess why he is feeling extremely sad?
Because Pandu is not able to see.
Yeah, he says, I feel extremely sad because I am blind. I am feeling sad because I am blind, and I will give anything for having the fortune of eyes just for this one session to see my sons demonstrate their skills with weapons. Then he tells Vidura, "Oh Vidura, this occasion of demonstration is dear to my heart. Whatever Dronacharya wants, get it done." So they prepare for the day, the big day. Dronacharya chooses a plot of land where they are going to have this demonstration and gets a stadium constructed there. He calls that place Rangamandapam. Right? Alright? This stage is called Rangamandapam, right? That is called Rangamandapam. It is an even land. Sorry? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Mahabharata. Rangamandapam. And he has, it's an even land, there are no trees and no bushes, and on the auspicious day on which it's going to be done, he does Vastu Puja. A big stadium is constructed. You know what is Vastu Puja? Vastu everybody knows nowadays. Whether they do anything else or not, they do Vastu, right? So house, what should be where, which is good. Essentially, it is a lot of common sense that goes into Vastu. If you go to a kitchen in an old traditional house, it will not feel hot. They would have had something. By Vastu, they would have had the water tank above or some such thing which will shield the heat, and the ceilings will be high. Where should the puja room be? Where the sun comes. Basic fundamental things and very well thought out stuff will be there, which goes into Vastu, and a lot of other things too, which people do. And then if your house is not lucky, usually people will say your Vastu you never properly saw, you have kept one bathroom where Kubaya Mula should be there, therefore how all that stuff, okay, all the things, your sins will be pointed out to be one by one, all because of Vastu. So people don't want to take any risk nowadays. Which direction should you sit while studying, etc. may influence your marks, for all I know. Feng Shui in whatever, in Chinese. So they do the Vastu Puja, the place is worship, and appropriate, beautiful stadium is made for the occasion with good enclosure for the royalty, where they will sit. And these are not stadiums like nowadays. These are made glittering with gold, encrusted with diamonds and lapis lazuli and emeralds and turquoise and all that stuff. It's a high-class place where the princes of the land are going to come and demonstrate their skills. And Gandhari and Kunti and other royal ladies, Satyavati and such, all the ladies are coming. Sorry, they're forest. She's gone to the forest. Very good. Mogambo has become even more khush. They've gone to the forest, but Gandhari is there, Kunti is there, and other royal ladies are there. And they are all coming totally dressed to kill on that occasion. Grand dress, release. Okay? Well, I'm not making fun. They would. It's their sons are all going to demonstrate their skills. It's a very proud occasion for all of them. They are coming. Vyasa says you cannot imagine the kind of jewelry, etc. that they were wearing. They need an occasion to display the damn jewelry. The whole city is assembling to watch. And they're wearing pure, and royal ladies, special palanquins, all with gems have been made to carry them. Then they walk up proudly as if they're walking up the mountain to the royal enclosure in the stadium and they sit. And they have come with their dasas and dasis and other essential items. I don't know what essential items they needed during this, but they have brought some essential items, they say. Must be, or maybe cool drinks or whatever. Essential items are there. Mirror. Okay, mirror must be and all that, and they come. And then they're seated and to watch the demonstration. And people, the entire city turns up. It's a public occasion. The demonstration of skills of the prince is a public occasion. The entire city turns up and people are blowing horns and they're beating drums. It's a massive sea of people. You can all understand exactly because you've seen cricket matches and people being horned and like that from that time itself. Okay, it's happening. And the stadium is empty now, it's ready. Now Drona and Ashwatthama, clad in white, they are the first ones to walk into the stadium to the beat of the applause of the entire audience. They enter the stadium and Drona is both clad in white. It's a white dress, he's got white beard, white hair, he's dressed with white flowers and he's decorated himself with white sandal. And next to him there's a young son, Ashwatthama, like a young horse, with black hair, but white dress, and they look like the moon and the star coming and standing right in the center and taking a bow before the royal enclosure and to the people at large. As soon as they take a bow, Vedic priests start chanting Mangala part, the special hymns that are sung for auspiciousness. And then Dhritarashtra, because it's a special day for not Dhritarashtra, Drona, the teacher, it's a special day for Drona. He gives dan, he gives gifts to people. He just liberally is giving gifts. It's a special day. He and Kripacharya both. It's not only Dronacharya, it's Kripacharya. Both the teachers give dan, and they perform homas. Special homas are done. Imagine if you really need to do an Arangetram, you have to do all this. Special homas, Vastu Puja, Dana. All right. Okay. And they do all that, and then at the right time, all the princes enter the Ranga Mandapam. Suddenly, the floodgates are open, and with a whoop and a cry, the princes enter the Ranga Mandapam, run in chariots. Chariot after chariot of princes. They're all entering the Ranga Mandapam. Okay. Dashing young princes, like young colts, horses, enter charging into the mandapam, and they're all absolutely wondrous to look at. They're dressed like warriors, absolute. They got leather finger guards in their hands. They got beautiful dresses, and they got a waist belt with a sword hanging. They're carrying bow, quiver full of arrows, and they come. And they come straight and they prostrate to the feet of the teachers first. And then they take the Ashirvadam from the teachers. Then they worship the weapons. They're made to worship the weapons. And all the weapons are in red. The weapons are in red and they are to be worshipped with the red flowers. And the chariots of the princes are all having red flags. It's an occasion for valor. It's an occasion for red. Alright? And they are all having a red sandal paste on their bodies. Already the blood is simulated. And having done this worship of the weapons and their acharyas, they handsomely take their weapons in the hand, and they take the bowstring and they pull it and they do a dhankar, ta-tang. Each 100, all of them let loose their weapons, and the sound of the weapon alone is so majestic that the audience, half the audience, sorry, no arrow, just the string, dhankar, dhankar. Okay, right. So now is just demonstrating their skill. So they do the dhankar, all of them, and the sound is so majestic that half the audience gets scared and put their eyes to the ground. They're not able to take that sound. Vyasa says, and the other half are just looking without blinking. It's I can't blink. They're just looking. This sound of the bow is a very beautiful concept in all our scriptures. This sound, when Rama just does the dhankar, is supposed to put the scare of God into the enemies. He doesn't have to let the arrow fly, just the weapon. And the sound, when later in Mahabharata, when it comes, after the exile in the forest, the 13 years gets over. There's a condition. 12 years you have to be in the forest, 13th year you have to remain without us finding out where you are. If we find out where you are, another 12 years you have to go to forest. That's the condition Duryodhana has given. So 13th year he almost finds out where they are. And then with Bhishma and etc. they go to catch them. Huge army from Kauravas, Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, Duryodhana, Karna, all of them, chariot, they come. And this idiot of a guy, prince of the Virata is scared just seeing the dust raised by the horses. And his charioteer, he doesn't know who it is Arjuna. And Arjuna says, don't worry. And Arjuna has kept his bow up in a tree. He brings that bow down and he does dhankar. He doesn't let anything. This is the first occasion that he has to fight back after Draupadi was humiliated. This is the first occasion. And Arjuna is a valorous man. And this is an invitation. So he does a dhankar in great joy that, now I'm going to get Duryodhana. And listening to a dhankar, Bhishma says, that's Arjuna.
But it's one day too late.
That's Arjuna. Just listening to that bow sound. So here they do all that. Okay. And the princes start showing, one by one, they start showing their skills. They ride horses. They shoot arrows. They go around in chariots and they do maneuvers. All these are skills. How to do a maneuver, how to do a circling, how to do all that. I don't know. I mean, there's a whole... Yeah, driving, this all must be coming from that only. Wrestling, riding elephants, fighting from elephant back, fighting from horseback, all that one by one they display. Even now, if you go, you have the army shows, right? Army, Air Force shows, air shows, horse riding shows, tent pegging. There's a competition called tent pegging in Asiad. They have to ride in a tent carrying something like a spear, and there'll be something on the ground. They got to go and hit it and pick it up. And these are all martial sports that display skills. They do all that, sword fighting, and they're displaying. They are princes, they are for the manner born, they have been taught the things and they're showing that to the whole world and they're watching. And then mock fight starts, they have to show mock fights, and Duryodhana and Bhima start a mock fight with Gada, mace. Right? Can Duryodhana and Bhima ever fight a mock fight? They can't ever fight a mock fight. Okay, it's easy. Two students in a class, they can't get along. They will fight. So you can always ask them to do a mock fight if you want a real fight. So they start crashing against each other. Tatang, they're going hammer and tongs with that mace. Duryodhana is a strong man. Bhima is a strong man. And all this, Dhritarashtra is there. This entire show is going on. Dhritarashtra, how does he know what's happening? Vidura is telling him, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening. Commentary is being given to Dhritarashtra in his ears by Vidura. And what about poor Gandhari? Kunti is telling her what's happening. So the people are telling them what's happening and they're listening with great joy. And Duryodhana and Bhima are fighting, and that's being told. And the audience is now taking sides. Some are taking Duryodhana's side and shouting, "Oh, Duryodhana," and some are taking Bhima's side, shouting, "Bhim, Bhim," and all that stuff. And there's huge splits going on. And meanwhile, Drona figures out that this is getting serious out there. This is getting serious out there. And it just sends Ashwatthama and says, "Go stop that fight." And Ashwatthama goes and says, "In the name of the Acharya, I tell you, stop." Drona says, "Stop." He tells the two of them and pushes them aside. Ashwatthama is a strong man, he's a heroic man, he's a valorous man, he's a terrific man. Bhima and Duryodhana to push them aside is not an easy task. You must have been an extremely strong man. He does that, and then they stop. Vyasa says, like if during the Pralaya Kalam, deluge, the typhoon during a deluge, what will it do to the ocean? The kind of waves that will rise. And if two such waves are rising to dash against each other and were stopped, frozen midway, like that, Bhima and Duryodhana had to be stopped. Like two waves from the deluge rising up to hit each other. Then, when a hubbub slowly comes, the audience now slowly sit down in their seats. What next kind of stuff? Drona announces to the world at large, "He who is dearer to me than my own son, he who is accomplished in all weapons, and he who is as valorous as Lord Narayana, that young Indra, the son of Kunti, Arjuna, will now show his skills." He makes an announcement. And Arjuna steps into the middle of the stadium. Wearing leather protectors in his fingers, quiver full of arrows, carrying a bow, wearing a golden armor. He showed, Vyasa says, he looked as pleasing as a cloud that is united with twilight, with the sun and the rainbow and the lightning. That's how Arjun looks when he stops in the middle, proud. Proud. Drona has called him to the middle. And as if nowadays Tendulkar has walked out in the middle, like that, people are watching Arjun. And what are these people compared to Arjun? What is Arjun and what have we reached? We can't get a goddamn bronze medal in Olympics, in any sport. And here are these guys. This is where we come from. Okay? This is the kind of people we come from. Arjun and Bhim and nothing we can do wrong. Anyway, and the people, they are excited seeing Arjun and they start shouting, "Arjun, Arjun, Arjun." The beat starts in the stadium. Everybody shouting Arjun's name. Where is Arjun? Oh, there he is. Alright. And hearing that sound of Arjun, 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 who is the proudest? Kunti feels a rush of affection. Seeing Arjun in the middle and seeing all the people rooting for her son. And she watches all that. And Arjun says, his skills is showing. And he starts by first using the Agneya Astram, and he starts a fire in the stadium. Boom, there's a fire. He started with Agneya Astram. And people are shouting, "Fire, fire, fire, fire." He used the Varuna Astram and opens the skies. And rain falls and ta-ta, it puts off the entire fire. And then, with the Vayu Astram, he starts a cyclone in the place. Andhi starts with the Vayu Astram. And then he makes, with the Parjanya Astram, he gets a whole lot of clouds in the place. And with the Bhauma Astram, he creates a lot of land here and there. And then with the Parvata Astram, he creates a hill in between. And suddenly using the Antardhana Astram, he vanishes from sight. He himself, Arjuna, is not to be seen in the stadium. And suddenly he is seen in the stadium and he's as tall as a mountain. And before people can say, "Oh my God, he's as short, he's nothing, he's so small." He can't be seen, he's so small. And he's showering arrows all around. Arjun, Arjun, people are watching with open eyes. He shot all kinds of targets to show his skills. There's a revolving iron pig, an iron boar, which is revolving at high speed in the air. And he shoots it, he hits that. There's cows' horns are kept somewhere far away. He shoots at all kinds of targets are kept for him, which are moving, which are seen, which are unseen, and he shoots them all. And then he shows his skills in other weapons. He shows that he wields a sword, he wields a gada, he rides a chariot, he's on a horse, he's an elephant. He shows every skill of his. And the audience gives a thunderous applause as all along when he's, 6 after 6 we are scoring like that. There are thunderclap after thunderclap going, and suddenly above all this noise, a huge thunderclap is heard from outside the stadium. Huge thunderclap is heard and everything comes to a stop, because this is the sound of heroism. There is a heroic sound which is being heard from outside the stadium, and people wonder, hope no mountain has broken, hope earth has not cracked, hope no cloud has burst. What could be this sound? All eyes are turned away from Arjuna to that sound. So fickle is the mind. Here they were, rooting for Arjuna and shouting with applause, and here's one extra sound, and everybody's turned. What could this be? And here, Yudhishthira, Drona is surrounded by the Pandavas, Yudhishthira and the brothers, 5 brothers. Vyasa says they look like the full moon. Drona looks like the full moon, surrounded by the Hasta Nakshatram. Hasta Nakshatram is a cluster of 5 stars. And Duryodhana is surrounded by his brothers, Kauravas, like Indra, surrounded by Devatas. And the sound comes again from outside the entrance. A huge crash of a sound of a man clapping his shoulder. It is a sound of a challenge. It is a sound of a challenge, and the sound is so heroic that everyone gets up. Everybody in the audience gets up listening to the sound, and Vyasa says, Dattevakashe Purushai Vismayot Pullalochanai Vivesham Rangam Vistirnam Karnaha Parapuranjaya. He says, Dattevakashe. No, he is not being allowed inside. I mean, at the moment he is outside the entrance. They are waiting, hearing that sound. Bhishma makes a nod, Drona makes a nod. So the people at the entrance allow, they create the opportunity for the challenger to come in. Dattevakashe, they given the opportunity. Purushai Vismaya Phulla Vilochanai. The entire audience is watching with open eyes, with complete stupefied, they are looking. Vivesham Rangam Vistirnam, in that huge stadium. Who came in? Karna, Parapuranjaya. Karna came in. Who is Karna? Karna is the one who defeats the cities of enemies. Parapuranjaya. He walks in. And Karna walks in wearing what? The kavacham that was born with him. That is a part of his body. Wearing the kundala which was born with him, which is lighting up his already lit face. Says Vyasa. Having a sword tied to his waist, he walks in like a majestic mountain. He walks in like a majestic mountain. Vyasa says, Kunti's son, Karna, walks in like a majestic mountain. And his eyes, he's got big eyes, Pruthulochana. And who else has got big eyes? Kunti. When Kunti is first described, her eyes are described. Her name is Prutha. And now Pruthulochana, Karna, who has eyes like his mother. Safe thing to say, eyes look like the mother, you're done. Face is like father, eyes is like mother. Both sides will give you treat. Eyes like mother. Okay. Karna walks in. And Vyasa says, he was shining like the sun himself. Strong as a lion. Valorous like a Rishabha, like a Kalamad. Ox. Valorous like an ox. Or a king of elephant, a Gajendra. How will it be? You know how a Gajendra is? What distinguishes a Gajendra from other Gajas? Not just the tusk. The king of elephant's forehead will be much higher. Majestic, seeing it among the elephants. Like that he comes, his luster sometimes looks like the sun, sometimes looks like the moon, sometimes looks like the fire itself. Karna walks in, tall as a tree, like a golden tree. He walks in and Vyasa says, Asankhyeya gunaha. Asankhyeya guna means countless are his qualities. Where shall I start telling about Karna? Countless are his qualities. Yuva, he is a young man. Yuva, youth, young man. Shriman, Shriman, you don't need to translate. Shriman is the home of Shri. Karna walks in. The entire audience become Nischala and Sthiralochana. Nischala, frozen, Sthiralochana. Their eyes are also not blinking, riveted on this guy. Who is he? Who is this? They are all asking. Who is this? And Karna comes in and his eyes sweep across the field. He takes in the entire field in the sweep of his eyes. And he does pranam to Drona and Kripacharya from far with a slight nod of his head, as if he does not hold them in as high an esteem as people might. And then Vyasa says, So braveen megha bhira swarena vadatam varaha bhrata bhratarmagyatam savitraha pakashasinam. He says, and then he said in a voice like the thunder, megha, like the thunderous voice, Karna, low thunderous voice. The brother, Vyasa says, brother Karna, who did not know, his brother Arjuna said to him, Indra's son Arjuna, he gave out the challenge. He says, oh delight of Kunti Nandana. Don't feel so proud of your valor. What have you displayed here? I will do each one of them much better. And on hearing this challenge which he gives out in his thunderous voice, the entire audience, Vyasa says, gets up as if it's been lifted by a machine. Thatak, in one they all stand. It's not like that, they stand, okay? They all stand together. And Duryodhana is thrilled. He says, oh my man. He is thrilled. You're going red with joy. And Arjuna, who was a darling of the crowd till now feels anger and shame, lajja and kurodha. And taking Drona's permission, Karna starts to demonstrate every single feat that Arjuna performed with as great a valor as Arjuna did. Duryodhana just goes and hugs Karna, puts him to his chest and says, Swagatam te Mahabaho. Welcome to you of mighty arm. Swagatam te Mahabaho. Dishtya praptosmi manada. Oh great man, it is my saubhagya that I have got you today. Aham cha kuru rajyam cha yatheshtam upabhujyatam. Me and my rajya are yours. Enjoy what you want. I am yours. My kingdom is yours. What you want, whatever is mine to enjoy is yours. Karna says, having got your friendship, O king, what do I need? What do I need? But I still do have one desire. I desire to do one-on-one battle with Arjuna. This is my desire. Duryodhana says, Bhunksha bhogan maya sardham bandhunam priyakrit bhava. With me, maya sardham bhunksha bhogan. Enjoy whatever pleasure is mine is yours. Bandhunam priyakrit bhava. My brothers, be friends with my brothers too. Be kind to them. Duhradam kuru sarvesham murdhni padam arindama. He says, and to your enemies, step on their faces. O Karna of mighty arm. Do we stop here? 8:15? Alright, it's up to you. Arjuna felt insulted. Arjuna, had this been a TV soap opera, it would have stopped here. Arjuna felt totally insulted. We'll leave it halfway in between. And says, Karna. Now Arjuna has been listening so far. Okay? Till now Arjuna is in listening mode. Now he says, hey Karna. That lokam, that world to which uninvited people end up in, and people who talk out of turn end up in. Prepare to go to such a world after being killed by me. You have not been invited, and you are talking out of turn. It is like one fellow who goes in a train, he doesn't buy ticket, and then he pulls the chain. Okay? It's ridiculous. I go to a place for a walk where you need a pass to walk there. And my friend who comes with me, he doesn't have a pass, but with me he comes. And then he goes there and he plucks flowers. I told him, this is ridiculous. Without ticket, you're pulling chain. And he also, no mobiles please, he'll talk on mobile. He said, what do you do with these people? So this is what he tells Karna. This is bloody nonsense, you're not been invited here. And then you come, and then you talk all sorts of nonsense. You talk out of turn. So you prepare to go to such worlds as such idiots will go to after being killed by me. Karna says, oh Arjun, this stadium is common property, Baba. Baap ka hai? Is it your father's? This is a stadium, is a common place. This is a common place where you are demonstrating your skills. Here, what matters is your valor. Right? It's your valor. If you have courage, talk with your arrows. Today, right now, in front of your guru, I shall cut your head from your body with my arrows. Karna tells, this is what is this stadium? I am come and invited, and this is occasion for proving your skills, and I have come to challenge your skills. I don't need a damn invitation, and I have thrown a challenge at you, and if you are damn thing, you think you are anybody, you face me. On that note of challenge between Karna and Arjuna, we'll come to the end of today's story. The great thing about Bharatam is the sheer drama and the lessons that you can learn. And listening about Arjuna's heroism, there's no end to it. And Karna too. Okay. So on that note, on this great occasion where Arjuna and Karna are seeing eye to eye, I'll ask a general knowledge question, and maybe all of you or some of you will tell me. The entire audience, everybody was watching agog. Arjuna versus Karna. But there was one person who almost died. Each fellow telling, I'll cut your head, I'll cut your head. On that note, we'll come to the end of today's class. Namah Parvati Pate Janaki Kanta Smaranam Gopika Jivana Smaranam Vetrivel Muruganak Sri Sadguru Swaminah Sri Anjaneya Swaminah Another.